Hello, fruit trees. Here we are at my yard, and as you see here, this is a soursop. I'm in front of one of my soursop trees, and that's the discussion of today. Now, I don't know how many of you out there have soursop trees here in South Florida or wherever you can grow them, but this is quite an interesting tree. This tree, as you can see, is loaded with a bunch of different fruits here, and there's different varieties to all these different amazing fruits. And you want to make sure that you get a good variety that's self-pollinating, so you're going to be able to get a good amount of fruit. And I've had soursop trees before that were supposed to be good varieties, supposedly, and they really didn't fruit at all. And I spent a good amount of money on some of these trees, but I didn't do the research to find out, well, what variety are they, and question it and so on. I think I might have gotten some seedlings and might have been told that I had some grafted trees. But regardless, do your research, everybody. Now, it's interesting because if you get a good tree and you don't need to hand pollinate these. If it's self-pollinating, they'll do just fine. My neighbor has two trees that were there for a very long time before he even got the house. And those trees are loaded like every year. And I don't believe those were grafted. I believe whoever put those in there probably just threw some seeds down and put some trees there, and they're right next to each other, and it did great. They did eventually get so big they were too close to each other, so we cut them back a little, but they still do wonderful and they taste wonderful. So there's two things to consider when you're growing soursop. One thing is, are they self-pollinating? Will they fruit on their own, or will they fruit at all unless you hand pollinate them? Then the other thing is, not all of them taste the same. Some soursops, just like the word says, sour, is pretty sour. So even if they're fruiting, they're not really that delicious. And that's one thing to consider. Then there's some others that are super sweet. Now there's sweet sops, and there's a whole bunch of other types of fruits in this family that are a sweeter custard like, similar to this. But for the most part, these are sour, but they can also be sweet. Now, this fruit is known as guanabana. It's a soursop, also called, and it is known for its healing benefits of cancer. It's actually the leaves of this tree that you can make a tea out of, and that's where the so-called healing benefits are to helping people heal themselves from cancer. So a lot of people that suffer from cancer that know about natural health and natural healing will actually use these leaves and make a tea out of them. Now, I know they sell a granola, which is also the plant name for this, on Amazon, where you can get an extract of it, a granola extract, which is a soursop leaf extract. And if anyone does has cancer, I do recommend you do something like that, and also get these leaves. Now, I've heard that some of the trees, the leaves aren't as potent as we think. It's only one specific variety of soursop where the leaves really have that anti-cancer fighting minerals and everything in there that it needs. Now, I'm not sure of that, but that's what I heard, and I'm seeking more information about that. Regardless, if you have cancer, you should be eating some way, whether it's in an extract or a tea, the leaves of a soursop tree. They'll be very beneficial. Now, back to the fruit and back to the tree in general. The trees are quite interesting of when they fruit. This one is fruiting right now, and it's loaded, and there's a bunch of fruit on here, and everyone's going to be interested to know where I got this variety, right? So here's and the fruit can vary in size. So this is well, that one's in the way here, but let's see the size of these fruits, because okay, there you go. So these fruits can vary. This is, believe it or not, as if it looks big, it's okay. It's a good size. I'm happy with this size, but this is literally like a small soursop, well, because they grow really, really big. I've seen some people putting these things in wheelbarrows that have learned, maybe have the variety, or just because they've learned how to grow it that much bigger. But this tree is loaded every year, this particular tree. So what happened with me originally, I got maybe 4 or 5 soursop trees, and this is the only one that was not a grafted one. The others were all grafted, and none of them fruited at all. And I'm not about to hand pollinate these things, so I could have grafted this onto that, but I have not yet learned how to graft soursop yet. It looks so easy online, but I haven't done it yet. And the reason why it's difficult for me is the season of it. Is this fruit is seasoning right now? It's here, but I've seen it uh, season in the summertime. I've seen it ripen in the summertime. I've seen it ripen now. So I'm not exactly sure of when the best season is to do all that. But this one I got is a grafted, is actually a seedling from Home Depot, believe it or not. This is my Home Depot variety, and it is loaded. So I guess I hit the soursop jackpot. And I went, and after I got rid of my other grafted trees, I took another chance, and I went and I got some more soursop trees, and I'll show you them today. So this is another one I got here. This was one I planted later. This is a very tall tree, and I cut back the trees every year so they don't get too tall, because these trees will grow really tall. And this one in a fast growers, but this is another one from Home Depot or Lowe's. They both have them during the season. And now this one is a newer tree. This tree is only like, I must have bought it in a 1-gallon pot from Home Depot or Lowe's, and it was pretty small when I got it. It's grown big. I've actually cut it several times already. No fruit on here yet, but if you could see here, I do have flowers. This is what the flower looks like. And it smells delicious too. It smells like the fruit. So we're waiting to see. There's several flowers on this tree, so I'm waiting to see if it'll actually fruit and how it'll be. So I took a chance with that. And I have 2 other trees that I planted, these soursop trees that I'm taking a chance with because they're not grafted, they're seedlings. So I want to see what will happen with that. But today I'm going to show you and help you not have to just get lucky or be blessed to have a soursop tree. We want to plant them with wisdom and find them with wisdom. This is the tree everyone wants to get and everyone should get. This is a variety called Miami Soursop. Miami Soursop. Now this is a newer tree, so I haven't had anything on it yet, but this variety comes from Lara Farms. And Lara Farms, they just do a great job in finding trees and varieties of trees that do wonderful, and they do a great job in grafting them and getting them out there. And this one is no different. This one is one of their prize trees of varieties, and it's a self-pollinating, high-yield, sweet-tasting soursop. Now, I've tasted the fruit, and I've seen the trees. I've seen a bunch of these trees down at Lara Farms, and it's the tree you want to get. I mean, if you have the space and you want to take a chance with a seedling, go right ahead. They grow excellent. But why wait, whether it's 3 years to 5 years, to see if it's going to even flower and how the fruit's going to taste? You're not sure. As I said, I was blessed to hit the soursop jackpot and get a good one. But I don't like taking chances like that if I have the opportunity to get one that's already established and known to be a great variety. So I'm going to put a link below to Lara Farms where you can get this tree. And also Love Nursery, which is a local nursery here in West Palm Beach. They also have these Miami Soursop tree varieties for sale as well. So I'll put both of those links below the video if you're looking to get a soursop tree. I believe this is the variety you want. Now I'm going to go with my neighbor and show you some much older, high-yielding soursops, again, that are from seedlings. And I have 3 more trees that are seedlings that are growing in other areas that are just as big as the other one I showed you. They're not as old and they're not flowering yet, but they're growing really well. But remember, we don't just want a good growing tree. We want a good tree that's growing and it's going to fruit well. So Miami Soursop, check that out. Again, these will plant from seeds, and grow pretty well. But again, you're taking a chance unless you get a grafted variety, a known grafted variety, and that's the Miami Soursop. I love I'm excited about this because the fruit just tastes great. Let's go take a look at my neighbor's trees now. I believe he cut them back a couple years ago. So last year was the first year I think he didn't get fruit since I've known the trees. But every year those trees are loaded. So let's go see how they're doing now. Okay, everybody, here we are in my neighbor's yard, and you can just look at how big these trees are. There's two soursop trees right behind me, and these are very interesting because he did cut them back, and this year they're finally coming back, and they're about to fruit now, just like my tree. But I remember him going away in the summertime a couple years ago, and these trees were fruiting as well. So I believe at least this variety fruits more than once a year, and I believe these are possibly seedlings just because I don't think the people that lived there before were into trees and varieties, and they just probably threw some seeds here. And if they were, they probably wouldn't have planted them so close together. But there's two varieties here, absolutely loaded. These trees will grow huge if you let them. So you definitely want to keep them trimmed back. He got some of the batch that I got from Lowe's or Home Depot and some other areas of his yard that are looking very promising, just like my trees. But these two trees are the prize trees of, I would say, his yard, because not only is the soursop great for cancer, it tastes great. I just love it. It's one of my favorite tasting fruits, but it's also very expensive. And if you go to buy this fruit in the store, you probably won't even like the fruit because they're literally hard as a rock. And I always say when you pick a fruit off a tree ripe, it's so different than just picking off a fruit off the tree the way they do when they're selling it commercially. And when you see a soursop in the store, it's hard as a rock. These I pick when the tree ripens, and sometimes they might fall off sooner and ripen, but they're nowhere near picked as soon as they are when you get them commercially. And even then, they're still like $10 a pound. I've literally seen these for even more than $10 a pound at Whole Paycheck or a place like that. But these fruit taste great when you get them off the tree. Wow, they're just amazing. And they're so nutritional, not just against fighting cancer, but just in general. They have so much nutrition. And they're not like some of the other Adamoyas or some of the other foods from this species that there's so many seeds where you can't eat it. There's a good amount of seeds, but there's still enough good eating quality to it. And a lot of people like to make juice from the soursop, and it's literally like juice turning in your hands. So these two big trees are getting to fruit now, and these trees must be at least maybe 15 to 20 feet tall, and they'll grow even taller if he doesn't limit the size of them. But there's some big trees. And then, all right, so here's a wider look of his tree here, and he cut these way back about 2 years ago, and they're growing back. And last year was probably the first year I've been here where they weren't just loaded, and that was just because he cut them back. But this year they look very promising. So there's one tree there, and there's another tree up there. And I'd say these trees are planted maybe about 20 feet apart from each other. And if he didn't cut them back, that would be way too close. But because he cuts them back, it seems to be more than fine. The good thing is, from my experiences, these trees don't even need to be this tall to get a good amount of fruit. They could probably be half the size and get fruit. But the bit taller the tree, the more fruit you're going to get. Now, the thing is, you can pick them unripe, but if you're not sure when to pick them, they're not going to be as good. I like to pick them when they're soft on the tree and tree ripened. Sometimes they might even fall on the floor when I get them. But if you have some local pests like squirrels or raccoons, and they're soft on a tree, these are a prime target for them. So you just got to be on them and watch them and make sure. And look at all this. Look at all the anti-cancer fighting leaves on these trees as well. So my suggestion is you taste many of these different varieties. Get your own tree. Try to get the Miami Soursop one. I'll put the links below to where you can buy those trees in Miami and also West Palm Beach. And there you go. All right, while we're making this video, I might as well show you this. This tree here is another seedling soursop tree. But this one, let's see if you can get a better view of it this way. It's growing okay, but it's just an experiment. I just put it in the ground there because I had it. It's not getting any water at all, except the natural rain. just to see how it grows. And it's growing tall, but we'll see. Now, this one is the same age as that really big one in my yard that I showed you. Not the first one, the second one. That's still newer. But still nothing yet, but no flowers. But that's that one. And then we're gonna come out over here, and I did it again here with this one. I literally bought a bunch of these and just put them in the ground. This one isn't getting water either, but it's not growing tall, but the leaves are looking good and green. And I'm going to show you one more now. Now, as we're looking at these trees, here's something to keep in mind. These trees do not like the cold. You're not going to be able to grow soursop in a non-tropical environment. They do not like the cold weather at all. So they want warm weather. If it gets too cold, they will not fruit, they will not grow well, and they'll possibly die. So that's something to keep in mind when you're buying this tree. This is why you probably won't find Home Depots or Lowe's or nurseries up north selling this particular tree, because they know that. And if they are selling, you need to be quite suspect of them, is why would they be doing that if those trees won't grow there. But we're going to take a look at one more tree that is getting water, that's a seedling, before we end this video. Okay, so here we are in my other neighbor's yard, and he let me, that fence is my fence, and I ran a water spigot down here, and as you can see, I planted this soursop tree here, planted at the same time as the others as well. This one is getting water, and you can see how much taller it is than the previous one I just showed you that wasn't getting water, and it's doing well. It definitely needs to be weeded around the tree, but these trees, as long as it's warm weather, will grow quite well. So I planted a bunch of these seedlings to see which ones will fruit or not in other yards, and one or two in my yard, but the Miami Soursop's the one you want, which you know is going to be good. And if I could find a way to graft the tree that I have that's doing well, I will as well. And so I have to start experimenting with grafting these. Okay, everybody, so that is the soursop, also known as guanabana, or guanabana known as soursop. And if you want me to feature any other particular type of tree or fruit, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching and for subscribing to this channel. And everybody, have a great day. And when those soursops are ripe, I will show you in another video. Until then, keep growing.